Okay, hold on. No, sorry. Is that recording? You push it up, right?
Okay, good morning. Welcome to Salary Board for May 4th, 2022. Call the meeting to order. We have public comment. Any public comment? See none?
Oh, wait, I just wanted to clarify something. It's not public comment. I just wanted to clarify something for the record. Should have brought it up in the minutes. Never mind, no public comment.
Okay. All right, approval of the minutes for April 6th, 2022. Any questions or comments regarding the minutes?
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, there was some concern raised by Lauren Smith of the HR department. She was concerned and raised an objection with position 6047. And when I was reviewing the minutes, and I just wanted to clarify for the record so that people don't get confused, what the board actually voted on was position 6051. So I just wanted to make that clarification, just so there's no confusion, that's all.
Okay. Any comments or questions regarding the minutes as they're presented? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the approval of the salary board actions. We'll just probably go in order here. Law Department, Mr. Khan.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, members of the board. We have this morning a request to change the union code for a position, and what goes along with that for the sake of consistency is a title change. As the commissioners will recall, and the controller may be aware, since the current Board of Commissioners came in 2020, the county has gradually moved away from its previous model of having attorneys who work part-time for the county and have a full-time law practice towards a model of having attorneys who only represent the county. And so the Union Code 77 is what permits employees who work for the county, I think it's exclusively attorneys, at least primarily attorneys, to receive full county benefits but not be required to work 40 hours a week for the county. So we're asking, since that position became vacant a few months ago, before we ever fill it, we would want to make sure that anyone coming in would understand that they would be coming into the new model like everyone else. In the past, when we have done this with the attrition of people leaving the county, again, for the sake of uniformity, we've asked to increase the salary cap to match all the other assistant county solicitor positions. We are at a point now where that's really not necessary. We have a number of attorneys who are not only well below the salary cap, but below the cap for this position. And because of the, I think, rule of consistency, we need to have some distinguishing word here, which we settled on compliance, since that accurately captures a number of the things that someone in this position would be expected to do. So with that, we would request that the board consider a motion to change the union code for position 389 from 77 to 00, and along with that, change the job title to Assistant County Solicitor, parenthesis, compliance.
Okay. This is a vacant position right now?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. And so this change you're talking about only really applies to this one position. It's not something, it's obviously, okay. Other questions for Mr. Khan?
I have some.
Yeah.
Okay. Margie had let me know that this position was previously filled by Ginger. She primarily, she did HR work, right? Okay. Yes?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, we're just recording it, so if you nod, I see your answer. And I'm sure people watching see your answer, but the recording doesn't pick that up. And so she left the county, right? And now, but my understanding is that the county does still use her services. She's just outside now, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And we also have another vacant position within a vacant assistant county solicitor, correct?
Yes, we have, so we actually have one position that is vacant. When we did the budget, we said we would expect to fill that in the later part of the year. So that's, I think we said we would probably not fill till July 1. That's a position where what we expect is to bring in someone who is going to be very experienced in litigation, who is going to focus their work on litigation that we would otherwise have to send to outside counsel, which tends to be the most costly work that we have to pay attorneys by the hour. So Ms. Hardwick was actually doing a lot of that work, but she was part-time. So that position is vacant. We don't expect to fill up before July 1. At the same time, we have notice from 2 attorneys who will be leaving the county over the next few months. So those positions do not appear as vacant, but they will. One attorney is going to be leaving August 1. The other attorney, given our needs in the children and youth area, has indicated some flexibility, so I think we may have a little bit of an overlap. But that will probably be, assuming we hire someone for that position, sometime in late May, early June, somewhere in that range.
Okay. And I know you just mentioned Ms. Hardwick was part-time, and I did review and did have some questions about it. It says that, it's part-time position going to full-time position, but they were both actually full-time positions, whether or not Ms. Hardwick worked full-time or part-time. I mean, she was receiving full benefits.
She received full benefits, that's correct.
Right, okay. So for all intents and purposes, you're really just switching, it's still the same amount of money to the county, right? It's still the same salary cap, it's still the same benefits. It's just that now we're paying outside services for some HR stuff. We're still paying outside counsel for that. And then I just wanted to talk about, or ask you about some of the compliance. And I respect that the county would, and I appreciate that the county may need this position. So I just wanted to kind of ask some of the questions about what the compliance attorney will do. And one of the areas that you discussed, like the essential functions and responsibilities, is provide IT, Human Services Division, and other county departments and officials with professional advice regarding data privacy. Yes?
Yeah, so I guess I'll respond to a bunch of that. So just to be clear, this is not a new position, right? This is an existing position.
Right.
From the standpoint of the county, the only thing that changes is that there's now a clear understanding that the employee may not have outside law practice, will be required for every pay period to put in 80 hours. There's absolutely no cost to the county. There's nothing new happening with respect to this position. With respect to, just to, I think, give the background, Madam Controller, to these positions, we have, in many areas, tended to operate as a department of generalists. Because of our size, which has gotten bigger for sure over the last 2.5 years, but is still relatively small, there are many areas where we are very much an all-hands-on-deck operation. So by way of example, right-to-know work, when that volume really escalates, everyone is kind of expected to pitch in. We've had, in the 2020 election cycle, literally every attorney in the department was doing election work round the clock for days on end, even though that wasn't necessary. So Ms. Hardwick is an example of that, right? She was normally doing employment work. So a number of these areas that you're mentioning are areas that we have an expectation, and we modify everyone's individual portfolio as things come and go. Part of the reason we focus on the idea of compliance is that what we have seen is that, by way of contrast, the position that is vacant at least until end of June, early July for the full-time litigator, that is very much going to be a litigation-heavy position. And we do not expect that that person will be spending the majority of their time providing advice on data privacy and doing redactions on right-to-know work. By contrast, this position, while it could involve some litigation, given where the salary cap is, would be more in line with someone level experience, where we think that it would include a lot of that sort of counselor role that most of our attorneys provide. Give you a little more contrast, as we've gotten bigger, we have started to specialize a little bit. And the best example I could give to you of that is with respect to the Children and Youth Agency. And so when it comes to going into court and representing the agency in dependency and orphans court matters, that isn't something where we kind of look to every attorney in the department to get tagged in. That's primarily a small group of people. We have started to see, however, that with some of that work that they do in terms of redactions for court files, when that volume gets big, that is an area where maybe some of the other folks in the department can be called upon to help. So we tend to be somewhat flexible in adjusting the portfolios of individual attorneys as both the needs of the county change and also as the personnel change. So we created this position, even though we haven't filled it, for a full-time litigator before Ms. Hardwick gave her notice and left the county. Now that she's no longer here, and we're also keeping an eye on what is the volume of the litigation where we're going to need outside counsel or someone who's very experienced. All of these things are somewhat fluid. But back to your question, so while I think the job description is a good faith expectation of whoever we slot into this role, whether it's one of our current attorneys or it's someone we hire when we replace some of the people who have given notice, and a lot of that just depends on who are the people that end up applying for open positions and how the timing works. I think that all of these areas, as it says, the primary responsibilities for this role may include, and I think these all give a good faith expectation of what that might look like.
Okay, and this is for, is this for a less experienced attorney than, say, Ms. Hardwick? Maybe like 1 to 5 years experience, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I don't want to put a number on it, but I think that's fair to say. And again, I think the best example I can give you is that full-time litigator who I expect is going to have to be hired. As I think you may know, the salary cap for the generic assistant county solicitor position is $120,000. No one's paid at that level. Okay. I think to hire someone who's going to help us, cut down the county's outside legal bills by hundreds of thousands of dollars to leave wherever they are, I think we're going to be hiring closer to that cap. I don't think we could hire someone with this cap for a position like that. So relative to that, I think I would agree, Madam Controller, someone probably with less experience in an area than Ms. Hardwick.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Khan? No? Okay, is there a motion then to approve items 1 and 2?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, information technology. Mr. Regola?
Thank you, Salary Board members. I come before you today for your consideration. I present for a new position to be added for a data privacy analyst. The need for this position was born out of the project underway in our Human Services Department to have the various agencies function and share data as one agency, specifically known as a covered entity under HIPAA regulations. So I am asking for this position to be created to allow that person to help administer the policy set forth by the county to comply with the law in human services. I envision this position will also work closely with our health department, along with creating synergy for our HIPAA policies with the health department and Neshaminy Manor operations. I stand for questions.
Okay. This was also, I think, something that came out of the transition report from 2 years ago as a recommendation to have the different agencies work more closely because they oftentimes are collecting data from different agencies about similar families. They might be collecting data from in the AAA, drug and alcohol, children and youth, could all be the same family.
That's correct. This project is born out of allowing us to serve holistically the needs of our constituents. So no longer is their information siloed. We're able to better serve them if we see a full picture of the person in front of us presenting for service.
Right.
In order to do that, we have to comply with the law.
Right.
I would just add, well, I want to thank you for this. I think, if I remember right, the first time we started talking about this was 2010 or 11 when we finally got off the mainframe and we thought there was a way to do this, and it looked impossible. Nobody could figure out how we could do it, and yet we were always having families that we should have known were involved with other systems. So it made sense that once we got into this building together, we also ought to be able to communicate with through IT. So I am just grateful that you saw the way to be able to get us here. I'm grateful that we're protected, and thank you.
And I would also like to comment, I am one small part of a larger team that's working on this. Rachel Neff is really spearheading this project. So I am one small piece of this and trying to add my expertise with HIPAA to the equation.
Well, thank you, and our thanks to Rachel, too. She's here, as well as all the other players. I'm sure there was 1 million attorneys involved, too.
Other questions for Mr. Regula?
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Regula.
Great morning.
The commissioners are aware, and you're aware, that the Controller's Office is conducting a confidential investigation into this area. And so I have some questions and I have some concerns. I, too, am a huge proponent of keeping our data secure and the integrity of that data and where it goes and who has access to it. And so I have a few questions. In your job description, it says the data privacy analyst contributes as part of the privacy oversight team. Do you have a privacy oversight team?
That is yet to be formed. We are forming that now. That will be formed when the HIPAA policy is ratified for human services. Again, this position is really earmarked towards the human services division.
Okay. It says this position will report to the privacy officer.
Yes,
Do you have a
that is
privacy officer?
I have been asked by the commissioners to serve in the capacity of privacy officer, yes.
So you are the privacy officer?
I am.
Okay. Is that in your job description now?
I do not know if that is in my current CIO job description. The commissioners asked me to serve in that capacity.
Okay. Is that written down somewhere, or is that part of any public record?
That will be memorialized in the HIPAA policy when it is ratified.
Gotcha. Okay. So the proposed position, data privacy analyst contributes as part of the privacy oversight team, which you say will be formed, to all ongoing activities related to the development, implementation, maintenance of, and adherence to the company's data privacy and security governance program. And I just note throughout this job rec, you refer to the county as the company. And that raises concern because I see governance as a series of checks and balances and not as a company. They're different laws that apply to a political subdivision rather than a company. So is that a typo throughout here, or do you see the county as a company?
I view the county as operating as a public entity. If you want to semantically call it a company, I view it as an entity that's operating as a public growing concern.
Okay. You and I agree on that. I don't view it as a company. I view it as a county. I don't view it as a company, but those were your words, so I just wanted to ask.
I think we're all in good company here.
Okay. So it also says in collaboration with other data privacy members, ensure applicable privacy and security requirements are incorporated in policies, SOPs, and other controls implemented for a project, product, or platform. Are those policies and SOPs and other controls currently in place, or is that something that your department is working
They are
on?
being created. So we have to create an infrastructure before we can name human services as a covered entity, and this is next step in creating that infrastructure.
Okay. And who is this data privacy analyst? Who is the data being protected from?
Well, we're complying with federal HIPAA regulations inside of human services. So we are ensuring that they share their data in compliance with the law.
Okay. Does that include protection from people within the county improperly sharing or taking data?
The HIPAA privacy laws has regulations regarding the use of information both internally and for external sources. So we are certainly going to, part of this will be training our staff in the appropriate use of information.
Okay. So you don't have anyone on staff now that is performing these tasks?
Specific to HIPAA, we do not. We constantly look at data privacy and security and how we share and use information across the county. Mm-hmm. This is specifically related to human services HIPAA regulations.
Okay. So Could it be, and it has nothing to do with ERP, is my understanding.
It was not the intention of this position to have anything to do with ERP.
Okay, because some of the essential functions and responsibilities mention HIPAA compliance, but then some of the other essential functions and responsibilities are broad and general and, could be construed as, data privacy analyst with that position going around and going into other areas, which is a broad area. It's an area of concern for certain reasons that you're aware of. I just think that this position right now is a little too early to put this position in now, and I would make a motion to table this new position until we have some additional information.
I think I just said we've been doing this for 10 years. And actually, I don't think the controller has anything to do with HIPAA anyway. So I have no idea. I feel like I've been in deposition. I guess there's a motion on the floor.
Motion to second, or motion to table, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion to table takes precedence over any other comment. So at this time, there'll be a vote. All in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Aye.
Against tabling? Aye. Okay. Motion fails. Any other questions, Ms. Van Blunk?
No, I just raised serious concerns that we're putting a data analyst, privacy analyst within, that it's not, the job title is data privacy analyst. There is nothing in the job title that the essential function and responsibilities are not solely limited to HIPAA compliance. If there's a motion that limits this data privacy analyst to that area, my only objection is, is it budgeted for, and looking at the sheer numbers, I do know that, IT department has grown significantly in the last, 2 years, and it's just concerning to me that a fox is watching the hens, that's all. And so that's my concern. I don't know what happened 10 years ago. That was not brought to my attention. I do know that there was some concern about an event that happened in February, and that this seems to be, rushing in to fix that. And I have great concerns over this position at this time.
If I could just make a comment.
Sure.
This has nothing to do with anything that may or may have happened in any type of February event. This position was created and ideated long before February. It was part of the Human Services project of data sharing. It is meant to serve for HIPAA compliance purposes and for other federal regulations that speak to data sharing inside of Human Services, namely 42 CFR Part 2. I'm seeking for an additional resource because right now in the county, there is not somebody with the requisite knowledge to help administer the program to ensure a data sharing initiative in Human Services that complies with all appropriate legislation and regulations. So that is what this was meant to do. Nothing more.
And I still raise the same concerns.
Sure. Is there any objection on your part, Mr. Regola, to making this Human Services data privacy analyst, or HIPAA data privacy analyst?
I would name it HIPAA and other applicable legislation to Human Services, but they would also reach out to Neshaminy Manor and HIPAA-related issues in health. So Human Services focused on HIPAA and data sharing initiatives.
Okay. Well, I think that addresses one of the questions you had, right? You said you'd be in favor of this if it did that.
It does, except now he's bringing up data sharing, which can be construed, and I recognize the necessity for departments to work with other departments and to share data. I recognize that. However, certain information came to light within the investigation, which I'm happy to hold an executive session if you guys would like. I brought this subject up to the commissioners. And Margie. And there were certain things that were revealed that make me very concerned over someone within the IT department with this role.
Is there a motion on the floor for this? Have we
Well, I'm talking about just looking at a retitling of this so that it's clear that this is something that's helping our human services professionals do their job so that we can help people who are the most needy in this county most effectively. Health and Human Services, data privacy analyst.
That was the intent of the position, salary board members, so I thank you for the further clarification if that helps you make your decision.
Okay.
Thank you.
Again, I welcome an invite to an executive session so the commissioners could be privy to information that I attempted to bring to them previously, to which they denied listening to.
It's not true, it's just not related to it. I would make a motion to approve the addition of a Health and Human Services data privacy analyst.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could I make, not a motion, but a suggestion? Since there are some concerns that have been addressed, and I know there's a motion on the table, which hasn't been seconded yet, my suggestion would be not the table, but to go over this for today until our next salary board, which is 4 weeks away. And let's see if some of these concerns that have been expressed by our controller can be addressed, and then we could take it up at our next salary board.
Gene, the problem is that this has nothing to do with anything the controller brought up. Honestly, we can have an executive session after this and we can talk about those issues. I'll give you those issues. They have nothing to do with this. And the families of Bucks County are suffering because this data isn't being shared. It can't wait anymore. We've waited all of these years. It's nothing to do with February or anything else, and everybody in here knows that. So this is just about families.
Okay. All right, so a motion is made on the floor to create a HIPAA and Human Services Data Privacy Analyst. This is item 3. Motion is made. I will second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Health and Human Services, sorry, Health and Human Services, I appreciate that, thank you. Health and Human Services, Data Privacy Analyst. Motion made, I will second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Opposed?
All right. Okay, motion fails. Mr. Regola, hopefully we'll take a look at this again. I
Thank you for your
apologize.
consideration. No, I appreciate the
hope you'll be back.
consideration of the board.
And
Thank
thank
very
you, Miss. I want to thank everybody, all of the lawyers, Rachel Neff, all of Human Services who spent all that time to help the families of Bucks County. I apologize for the mistake that was just made.
Item 4 is Human Services, to add Human Services Resource Navigator.
Well, I'm very nervous now. Good morning. Thank you for having us. My name is Amy Crossan. I'm the Finance and Admin Manager of the Human Services Department, and I'm here to request, I also supervise the hub, and I'm here to request approval of an additional resource navigator in the hub. Over the past year, we opened last February. Over the past year, we fielded over 2,000 inquiries to the hub by phone, by email, in person. Just in March, we had our biggest month with 200 inquiries. Our sole resource navigator fields each and every inquiry herself. This is to be an immediate response, or as close to immediate as it can be. The issues people call about can range from, can you give me a phone number, to the prothonotari's office, all the way to, I'm in active mental health crisis and I need emergency help. We have homeless clients coming in more and more. As COVID is easing up, and economic stressors are increasing, we are seeing more and more people coming in with real problems that need real help. We're seeing more and more people coming in, and the problems they're coming in with take more time, more effort, they're more complex. We can have clients there for hours, and one staff member just cannot handle it at this point. That's very clear. We are also asked to be attending community events more often. We also want to start having hours at the CNY Visit House in Langhorne. We can't do that, and also staff the admin office appropriately. So as the hub gets bigger, as we're getting traction in the community, it's just becoming very evident we do need another full-time person in the hub. It is a new position, obviously. The max salary is $60,000, as indicated. The person would actually start more at about $55,000. This position would be actually paid for the first 2 years with Human Services Block Grant retained earnings. At the end of those 2 years, it would move permanently into the Block Grant funding and also partially be funded by the other Human Services departments, Aging, CNY, BHDP, Drug and Alcohol, and the Human Services Department itself. Any questions?
Sorry. Any questions, Ms. Carlson? No?
I have a few questions. Have you considered a per diem, just to start out, to see if you know, one that doesn't have, that can take the overflow of what you need at the moment, and then if it's still needed in a year from now, 2 years from now, you know, and then come back and, you know, in other words, we could save about $30,000 in benefits if it's a per diem.
We talked about that. The problem with doing that is that then what do we do when we have a constant stream of events to go to? Or, you know, what if our navigator wants to take a vacation? What if, you know, it's just, we've been able to, the past year, kind of cobble together, you know, use admin staff from other departments to cover, but a per diem, we feel, wouldn't really be able to develop the deep knowledge of the resources that really have become necessary. We thought we could get away with just using admin support here and there when we needed it, but I'll tell you what, when you're down there and a case comes in that is serious and multifaceted and complex and emergent, you need someone who really knows what they're doing. And I feel the hub is only gonna get bigger. It's clear. More providers are relying on us and sending people our way. So we need someone in there, a full-time person who knows the resources, who knows what they're doing, who knows immediately, not days from now, what to do with the situation. So we feel a full-time person just makes sense at this time.
Okay. And how far, and I know there's already one full-time person in there, right? And so if I'm hearing you correctly, due to the influx, the intakes, I guess, I'm not sure what you would call it, right? Sure. I guess she's, I mean, is she overwhelmed because of the sheer volume?
Yeah, I mean, we're having a lot more homeless clients come in. Mm-hmm. And they need, you know, what they need runs the gamut. So we can take hours. And then she said, you know, she'll call me, can you come down? I need you. Or we've had several instances where people are coming in, word's getting out about the hub, so people are coming in with serious mental health issues as well. So it's also a safety concern at this point. We've had several instances. So having someone down there alone isn't necessarily the best idea. And you not only, it's in this field, it's emotionally taxing, especially when you can't help someone. So it's not overwhelming, like the volume, but then you need to figure out what to do, how to help them. And that alone is overwhelming, and can be. So between the volume, the emotional tax, and just we can't be two places at once, and I'm talking about the visit house or events or going out to providers, whatever. It can be overwhelming, yes.
I'm sorry, you're talking about events. What kind of events are we
Like
talking about?
community events, like last week we went to a senior expo, so that was a good 4 or 5 hours of time.
Okay,
But events like that.
okay.
And as word is getting out and COVID is easing up, those events are increasing. And actually on Fridays, Katie, our current resource navigator, she is going to be going to the jail to help those who are being released, figuring out what they need, how they can reenter society, and that's going to be a regular thing.
Right, all good work. I'm not
So-
picking, it's all good work. Just trying to figure out whether the money is necessary at this time at a full-time position. But I think you've answered my questions, and I appreciate it.
So this is 100%, Rachel, you may have something to say, but this is 100% grant funded from that grant. It's not out of our general fund.
For 2 years, I think you said,
And
right?
then it becomes a permanent part of that grant.
Correct,
Okay,
exactly.
so it would
yes.
never be in the general fund.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Ms. Neff? Sure.
And Amy, you did a fantastic job at outlining the need in the hub. And I just wanted to share, as the Human Services Director, this was really a gap in our Human Services continuum that Bucks County did not have for quite some time. Having an information and referral center in the 5th largest county in the state is needed. Our sister counties have it, and it's something that we really think is critical to the well-being for families, individuals, children in the county. And so I think we went a long time. I'm so thrilled that we launched in February of last year, and I only see this, our Human Services Hub continuing to grow in the future. And again, this has been based off of research that was done before it launched, looking at how other jurisdictions are practicing, and it's an essential component. And as the Human Services Director, I will ensure that moving forward that we continue to properly resource it so that we're providing strong services throughout the county. So I just wanted to share that.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. Any other questions? No? Okay. Is there a motion then to approve number 4, adding a Human Services Resource Navigator?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, appreciate it. Appreciate it, Ms. Crossan, thank you very much. All right, items 5 through 14. I see Ms. Donna Duffy-Bell coming forward. I think we can probably do all these at the same time. They seem pretty straightforward.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to request today. I'm just requesting title changes on several members of the Managed Care Unit of the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Programs. As many of you know, we had a merger or integration of the two departments back in 2020 of the Department of Behavioral Health and the former Department of Mental Health and Developmental Programs into the one integrated Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Programs. So as part of that integration, we said we would take a look at job descriptions and ensure efficiencies and consistency among the integrated staff. And so this is a result of some of that work in terms of making sure that we have consistency in titles that across our units in our department that reflect similar scope of responsibilities and similar level of responsibilities. There is no fiscal implication of these title changes. It's just to reflect back to the staff that there is consistency among how jobs are viewed and titled.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions for Ms. Donna Duffy-Bell?
I have a comment. I think there are nine employees in behavioral health, and 5 of them, I think 5, you're looking to change to director or supervising director position. Honestly, I really don't care about the name change. I care more about the fiscal responsibility. So my question is, and when I reviewed all of the job descriptions, they were exactly the same except for the name change, right?
Correct.
Yes. So my question is, you know, if we were to make a motion to approve, provided that, you know, over the next 2 years, there's not a request for increase in salary due to the director position, if you would agree to that.
Yes, absolutely, and I've, made it clear to the unit director as well that this is only a title change to achieve consistency and so that staff don't feel less than because they don't have the same title as someone in another unit who has similar scope and level of responsibility. So I have no problem agreeing to that.
Great, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, is there a motion then to approve items 5 through 14?
I'll make a motion to approve items 5 through 14, provided that, that no salary increases are brought within the next 2 years due to the director change.
Okay, motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
you.
you.
All right, other matters to come before the board? There are none? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.